Hello there, welcome to another video by Dan the Gaming Man. Today we're going to take a look at my PlayStation collection. We're talking about the PlayStation 1 here. I recently did a video listing my top 10 PlayStation games, and you can see that by clicking on the card in the top right corner. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to have a look through the games that I found in my mum's attic a couple of years ago. They've just been kind of stored in my house since then, and I'm going to have a look at them and see what we've got. I have had a quick glance this time and I can see that there are a few missing. I also did a video on the Sega Mega Drive and my collection of games from that, so if you're interested in that one, there will also be a card in the top corner if you want to check that out. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. So the first one we're going to look at is a football game. This actually made my top 10 list. FIFA 98. It's a bit bright outside, so apologies for that. But yeah, it's FIFA 98, the road to the World Cup. You can see David Beckham is the cover star, and it features 172 countries. It says the only goal is to qualify. Pick from 172 nations and take your team all the way to France 98. That is quite a lot of teams. Even the FIFA games today do not have 172 nations on, I don't think, so that's really cool. The graphics were great for the time, and it's a lot of fun. I'm going to go straight into another soccer game or football game. This one is Adidas Power Soccer International 97. I mentioned in my top 10 video that Father Christmas had brought me a PlayStation with 4 games. It was a bundle that Argos was selling, which is a store in England, and this was one of the games that I got. So this is one of my first 4 games on the PlayStation. Did anyone play this one? It's endorsed by Adidas, as you might imagine. It's got 56 international teams, so not as many as FIFA, but it was a lot of fun, and I've not played it for 20 odd years, so I don't know if it holds up. But I can tell as well that it's still got the instruction manual as well as the disc, and I think that's the case for all these games, which is great. Unlike the Mega Drive, when I went through that, there was a few games that had either the cartridge or the instruction manual was missing. And while we're on the subject of football, if you grew up in the 90s and you liked football, you probably played at some point Championship Manager. For console gamers like myself, I didn't get a PC until 99 or 2000. We weren't able to play Championship Manager, which was heartbreaking, but the consoles did have some pretty decent games. Premier Manager 98 was really good, and this one is made by Gremlin. They also did the Actua Soccer games, so if you played those, this one was a lot of fun. I did have Actua Soccer 3, but it's not here. But this one was really good. It has Premier League teams on it as well as the other divisions in England. It's from the 97-98 season, and it features the Actua Soccer 2 game engine, so when you watch the highlights of the game, that's what you see in. Championship Manager games didn't have game engines, so when you watched a match, it was all text. So this was quite revolutionary at the time. I think the Football Manager games, which replaced Championship Manager, they do, but the Championship Manager games didn't. So if you wanted to be able to watch your team play, you had to get Premier Manager. Or this one, this was the FA Premier League Football Manager 2000. This is by EA Sports, so this uses the FIFA game engine, so even better. And this one is featuring the Premier League teams again, as you'd expect. It's all fully licensed as well, so you've got all the badges in this one, which you wouldn't have done with the Premier Manager 98. But this one was a lot of fun. I really loved this game at the time. I think I got it for my birthday one year. It's got a really cool soundtrack as well, which I think is quite nice, sort of gentle music in the background as you're picking your team and making transfers. A lot of fun. Another sports game, Knockout Kings 99, which you can see has Lennox Lewis as the cover star, and it has Muhammad Ali, Vander Holyfield, Rocky Marciano. It's got 38 of the greatest boxers of all time on it apparently, and the motion capture is from Sugar Ray Leonard and Oscar De La Hoya, who I think are both in the game as well. And I can see from looking at the back, there's also Butterbean as well. I don't think Mike Tyson's in this one, but it's got just about everyone else that you'd want to play back in the 90s, so it's a lot of fun. One of my all-time favourite games, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2. This is one that I have mentioned in my top 10 video, so spoiler alert, but it's a lot of fun. This was just incredible It was really addictive. You're trying to get high scores, you're trying to find all the hidden items so you can get a new stage or park to play in. You can also design your own parks on it as well, which I think was quite basic, quite primitive. It just adds playability to the game, so fair enough. But yes, it has some of the best skateboarders around at the time and a really good soundtrack, so definitely worth checking out if you've never played this one. So taking a break from sports games, how about this one, Tekken 2. This was one of the other games that I got for Christmas that first year. So I got the PlayStation, I got Tekken 2, Adidas Power Soccer, and a couple of other games which we might talk about in a bit. But this one has a double disc. I'm not too sure now what that is. Looking inside, it's a demo disc, the second disc. I'm not too sure what games are on that demo, but yes, it was a fantastic game, really good cutscenes. I do mention it briefly, although it doesn't make my top 10, so again, a spoiler for you there. But I do mention it briefly in that video. But yeah, fantastic fighting game, one of the best ever made. Next up we have Bushido Blade, another fighting game. This one is one that I must have picked up second hand, I think. I don't think I ever got this one for Christmas. It's quite unique because the characters actually have weapons, hence the name Blade, and you actually are fighting with swords or other weapons. And again, just a fairly decent fighter and a lot of fun. Dynasty Warriors is the next one. And this is quite interesting because the series still exists today, but it's now a 3D action beat-em-up game, whereas the original was a fighting game. One character taking on another character, 2 rounds, knockout, all that kind of stuff, just like Tekken or Bushido Blade. So quite different. But yes, it's alright, this one. It's not the best game in the world. There's some really interesting characters in this one that you could then later play as in the games, Dynasty Warriors 2 through to whatever they're on now, 9 or 10 possibly. But yeah, it's serviceable. It's all right. Next we've got a racing game. This one is Porsche Challenge. This is one of the other games that I got for that Christmas that I've mentioned. You can see the box a little bit cracked now, which is a shame, but we've still got the manual and we've still got the game in there as well, which is the most important thing, I suppose. But yeah, basically you can drive a Porsche Boxster, I think it is, and that's it. You can choose the colour. I think that's the important part of this game, is that you can choose the colour, but you are driving a Porsche and everyone you're racing against is a Porsche. I think they're all Porsche Boxsters as well, to be honest. I don't think there's any other. I don't think you can race as a Porsche 911, for example. But yeah, it was okay, and it was the first racing game that I had on the system, and a lot of fun. The graphics were pretty good for the time, so no complaints from me. And the other racing game that I've got is this one, Formula 198. Now I always think about Formula 197, but I don't think I ever owned that. That was actually one of my best friends had Formula 197. We played that a lot at his house, and I guess the following year I must have got F1 98, and it's pretty cool. It's got Murray Walker on there doing the commentary. It's got all the licensed teams and drivers, so it's quite fun. And they were good games. I don't know how good the series is these days. I've not checked it out, but I know it's still going. But yeah, again, pretty good racing game on here. But I can't find my copy of Gran Turismo. I'm not sure where that is, but it's not in this box, so that's a shame. So if I'm gonna set up the PlayStation, this is probably the best racing game I've got. This or Porsche Challenge. That's my options, but this one probably would take pole position. The next game we have is Civilization 2. This is a lot of fun. It's a strategy game where you have to kind of build your civilization and take over the world. If you've ever played any Civ games, this is Civ 2. So it's all right on the PlayStation. I had a mouse. I'm not sure where that is these days, but I did have a mouse, and that made it a lot easier. I played one of the later games in the series on Switch, and it's just not quite the same as if you're playing it on PC. So if you like Civilization, then just stick to the PC, I think. Next we've got Rainbow Six. This one is in a strange box, Ubisoft exclusive. I'm not sure what this is. This is maybe their version of the Platinum games that you get on the PlayStation. And I have to apologise for touching my nose a lot. I think there's some dust in the air looking at these old games. But yeah, I think this was a lot of fun at the time. I don't think many of the first-person shooters have aged very well on the PlayStation, because I mean, a lot of them didn't use the analog stick, did they? So I also had Medal of Honor, but again, it's a game that seems to have gone missing. I think that was a better game, as I've mentioned in my top 10. It was actually featured on the PlayStation Classic, and I think I did play it on there, and again, the controls are a little bit difficult, so it's a hard game to go back to, but at the time it was a lot of fun. Next, I'm going to get these ones out of the way. We're going to do them as a group. Wrestling games. I loved wrestling in the 90s. Not into it anymore, unfortunately, but I did love the games, and I've got quite a few of them. We've got Warzone, which I think would have been one of the first on the PlayStation, and Attitude. They were both by Acclaim. We've also got SmackDown and SmackDown 2, which were by THQ, I think, and they were really great games. The first two, not so much. And then we have ECW Hardcore Revolution, which came out around the same time as the SmackDown games, but it was actually using the same game engine as Warzone and Attitude. I'll just show you the covers for anyone that's interested, but there you go. You got Stone Cold on Warzone, which has a lot of the wrestlers that were around in '97, including, I think, Bret Hart. Attitude had a much bigger roster, and you can see on the cover we've got Triple H, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Undertaker, Mankind and The Rock, the 5 biggest stars of the late 90s in the Attitude Era. SmackDown was really fast paced. It's got China, The Rock and Mankind on the cover, and yeah, it had a season mode that was a bit more interesting than the Attitude season mode. And SmackDown 2, you can see again, China makes the cover with The Rock and Triple H, and they just improved it a lot. It was a lot better than the original SmackDown, and the SmackDown games got better and better, especially when they went over to the PS2. And then this one, ECW Hardcore Revolution. It's got Rob Van Dam on the cover. Pretty poor game, to be honest, because it uses that old engine from the Attitude game, and it's not great. It's a shame, really. And the final one that I want to show you is this. It's a bit dusty, but it's Grand Theft Auto Collection, the collector's edition. And inside it has Grand Theft Auto, GTA London and GTA 2. So there we go, let's open it up, let's have a look at this one. This is my only interesting collectible from the PlayStation. So it's in pretty good condition, that, to be fair. So we've got the disc, it says collector's edition on it as well. We've got the manual. I can see there's another manual behind it, which is the GTA 2 manual. It's also got the poster that came with it, and behind that we have GTA 2. So I'm assuming that the GTA London will be in the back. Yes, it is. And lots of things, lots of things falling out. We've got a manual and more posters and stuff. So yeah, that's pretty good. It's in very good condition. So that is my, as I said, my only collectible for the PlayStation. So it's been a lot of fun going back through these games. Hopefully you've enjoyed it as well. I think there's a few missing. I know that I had Crash Bandicoot because that was the other game from the 4 that I got for Christmas that first year. So that's missing. I know that Gran Turismo is missing, and there must be a few others as well. But hopefully you've enjoyed the video. Let me know what games you have in your collection. Which of these games did you play, and which of them do you like to this day? Also consider subscribing to the channel. I do lots of videos if you've got nostalgia for the Sega Mega Drive, the Sony PlayStation, the Super Nintendo. They're the consoles that I focus on mainly, and we look at some modern games occasionally as well. Also, like the video if you've enjoyed it. Until next time, stay safe and keep gaming.